Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for new stories every day. We were apartment kids. No neighborhood. No ranch-style houses tucked neatly into a suburb with backyard swing sets and grill-out birthday parties. When we went trick-or-treating, it was always in someone else's neighborhood. Because of that and other reasons I'll get to, we made up a haunted house when we were kids. We gave it rules because Patrick said that rules were important for such things. It was kind of a tradition for us, and it was also something we worked at year-round. Jennifer said that haunted houses, the real ones, never slept. Back then the four of us in our tight-knit group partly believed in that stuff. Even as we drew pictures and sometimes detailed diagrams of the house's floors, and added in new rules, or tweaked the ones we had. Always in Greg's sketchbooks that he kept buying under his parents' noses to feed his unfortunate habit of drawing disturbing images even though we made it all up. Our excited, serious chatter showed how much we wanted to breathe life into it. Now we're adults. Patrick is a real estate agent, Jennifer is in pre-med at university, Greg works in advertising, and I alternate between construction and retail. It was Patrick who found the house between making his rounds as a real estate agent. I think he had been on his way to show off one of the properties he was representing when he spotted the house. He had to come back to it later, when he wasn't being tailed by prospective homeowners. The 5-story Victorian with steep gabled roofs, conical tower-like extensions, and large bay windows that were all boarded up. It stuck out like a giant's rotting but elaborate sore thumb among a neighborhood of smaller houses that Patrick had been driving through to get to another neighborhood. The hedges and lawn were wildly overgrown. Kudzu and other vines clung to the house's siding. But it was something on the front porch that clinched it for Patrick. He went looking for it when he came back. To the right of the door. But it was something on the front porch that clinched it for Patrick. He went looking for it when he came back. To the right of the door. There were 3 large doll heads that had been slashed open and used as pots for plants. Dingy-looking things bearing fruit that was so far rotted that it resembled old shoe leather, we had never decided exactly would be growing there, lay propped up and dying in those makeshift doll head pots. He sent us pictures. That got us there as soon as our schedules aligned. Patrick had talked with some of his real estate colleague buddies, connections and so on, and had gotten what he needed for permission to access the old house. So a few weeks later there we all were, the 4 of us, standing on the lawn of a house we had sketched up and chattered about for many days as kids in our rooms while our parents had watched TV or played cards in the close confines of our apartment building. "Well, this is something, isn't it?" Jennifer said. "Patrick, I know this is your doing. But wow, you went to some great lengths for this prank. I'm going to just let myself enjoy it because you put in so much effort." Patrick shoved his hands in the pockets of his sports coat. His eyes were bloodshot. "Isn't my doing?" "Yeah," I said, "this would be an extravagant prank, and for what purpose?" I waited for Patrick to answer, but he just stood there staring at the house. I glanced once at the doll head pots with their dying plants, and I wondered how long they had been dying. Whether or not it was all a hoax, I figured they were probably never alive to begin with. We asked each other if we were all ready. Butterflies in our stomachs. Hearts in our throats. Patrick planted himself at the front, put his right hand on the knocker. He nodded at us. We nodded back. Then we covered our eyes.